You are listening to Purpose PR Agency Radio, the place where we connect you with influencers, celebrities, CEOs, media personalities, influencers, motivational speakers, and inspirational authors. Hello and welcome again to Purpose PR Agency Radio, and I am your host, CEO of Purpose PR Agency, Portia Hargrove PR, and today we have an amazing guest. We have Miss Rysheema Dixon, or should I say Councilwoman, Professor, entrepreneur. She's all the above. So let me just give you a quick background of Rysheema Dixon. She is 30 years old and the absolute youngest politician, female African-American politician, who is city councilwoman at large in the city of Delaware, in the city of Wilmington for the state of Delaware. She's an adjunct professor for University of Delaware, as well as has her own business, RDI Innovative Planning. I may be saying it wrong. So it's RD Innovative Planning. I'm sorry. I'm so used to just saying RDI. And she's an amazing friend of mine and client of mine. And I'm just so happy that she was able to sit in today and just go over a few things to let people know about being a CEO, being a politician, and a professor. So welcome, Rysheema.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Portia.
I'm so excited that you're here. She actually has an event today, which is Play Street. So she's on her way back to the city of Wilmington. So she stopped through just to do a really quick interview with me so everyone can get some information and she can drop some jewels. So we'll be with Rysheema really quick after this quick break and music selection. We'll be back. Again, this is Portia Hargrove, PR from Purpose PR Agency Radio, and we are here today again with Rysheema Dixon. We're here just going to ask a few questions in the middle of her quick interview because I know she's a busy lady. She has so much going on. So Rysheema, you, again, just for people who don't know, you are an entrepreneur of RD Innovative Planning. You are also a city councilwoman at large for the city of Wilmington in the state of Delaware and an adjunct professor. How in the world do you do all of that?
I just follow my calendar.
That's a pretty broad calendar, isn't
right.
it?
So but legitly, I literally go by my calendar. So whatever is put on there by me is literally what I follow. And I just go off of that. And somehow able to manage between all the different things that I do and still be able to live at the same time. So I think there's ways, and and I think we were talking about this right before the show.
Right.
But I think it's that Scorpio or that multitasking in us that continues to allow us to do all the things that we love to do.
Right.
And now I feel like it's work.
Yeah, because we're both Scorpios and we're, 2 days apart?
Yes.
So we multitask and people don't know how we do it because we're multi-talented. We can do so many things and don't know it till someone brings it to our attention, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that goes to my first question. How in the world do you balance self-care since you work in the community for your own business that deals with community organizations and you're also a politician, city councilwoman at large?
So it is very difficult. And I think I didn't really realize as a community leader, as a politician, and I correct the term that I do not like politician as much. I'll say more elected official or public servant. But to be able, and also to be able to manage and be a adjunct professor as well, it takes a lot of energy and time and focus in order to actually do them. Mm-hmm. And trying to find time where you can actually relax, take a breather, not get stressed out, because a lot of those things can stress you out on a very regular basis, on sometimes an everyday basis. And that in some cases, working in the community and being an elected official in the community is double time.
Yeah, it is.
And for the most part, it is, you're a little more realize that you are not, as superwoman as you may think you are in some capacities, right? And not everything is going to go the way that you think they are. And trying to start to realize over the years that if I don't start taking time for myself, and I haven't had a vacation in like 3 years, right?
I know, and I was with you on the last one.
Exactly.
Right?
So it took time for me to realize that nobody's going to take my own time for me, that I have to take it for myself. And I took that time for the first time like almost 2 weeks ago.
Yep. And
in reality, I probably wish I, could have stayed and maybe resided from Florida. But
she was in LA, you guys, so I saw her feet crossed, or ankles crossed on the balcony, so I knew she was in a good space.
But you didn't realize until you're out of it that you need it, and you need to recover, and you need to be recharged in order to really do your work effectively. And now I've been telling people too, as community leaders and elected officials, we have to take time for ourselves, because we are re-traumatizing ourselves over and over, working in the same communities, working in these different places, and not realizing that we're being re-traumatized again and again, over and over, with the population that we're trying to serve. And we can't be all that we want to be to our folks if we are not in best shape for ourselves to be able to serve.
So that kind of goes to the next question that I had. I mean, of course, we talk about she's proud to be single, but let's talk about that, because I mentioned that on last week's podcast about even those who are single. She's single, and my question is, how do you even focus and find time for yourself and have that self-love, because you're so busy pouring into others? Like, I know you and I have our powwows every day, but besides like your mom or God, or like, what do you do to pour back into you for self-love and self-maintenance?
So I did what we had practiced a while ago, which was starting to put up affirmations and putting messaging on in your phone while you're sleeping and some of these things, so that you can recharge yourself, remind yourself of that I am self-love, and I have to love myself first before anybody else can love me, right? And realizing that the value that you bring as an individual, and the importance of who you are as an individual versus what other people think of you as. And I think it took time for me even to not live up to other people's expectations, but to only to live up to mine. Right. And it's hard to do when you're in a public space to be able to do that. But I've learned to just go in the mirror, talk to myself, say, girl, you look beautiful today, or girl, you're one of the smartest people I know, or you are more important than people think you are. It's like those kind of, and you're valuable. And I have that in my bathroom, kind of hanging up, just as a reminder of like, you are so valued, even if others may not like the choices that you make sometimes, that I value you, which is more important than anybody else's value, right? And then I tell that when I'm praying at night, every night, I make sure I say, I love falling in love with me, regardless of anything else, right? Yeah, so yeah, in retrospect, I would not like to be single, but I am. But it gives you enough time to like really deep dive into who you are, what you bring to the table, and as you're going into any relationship, so that you are your best self and you can be yourself, and you're comfortable in your own skin, and regardless of if you have a man next to you or not. And I think over the years to work with so many men, because in our space there are so many men that you work with, that you pick up a lot of traits of what you like and what you don't like, right? and you start to think to yourself, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I don't want, this is what I need to, or it makes you run back to your career really fast.
And that's true, because we are, you and I are definitely in a space where around a lot of male colleagues, counterparts, and you see things, whether you want them or not, but it makes you, I guess, value your own values more. So yeah, absolutely. That was a good one. So, but you talk about being a politician, mentioned it. How do you find your voice? You're the youngest city councilwoman at large in the state. So how do you find your voice, or I should say, how is your voice heard and respected in such a older, I don't want to say good old boys. Yeah.
We just say seasoned folks who've been around for a while.
Okay. Yes. Seasoned with paprika. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you get that respect? How does your voice heard? And you have people from all nationalities, races, age differences. They really they love and respect you. You've never walked in a room where people, well, at least I have seen working with you, where people don't value your opinion.
And that's true. And I will say that God has definitely been grateful in that space to be able to keep having me a good reputation. Going around regardless of what field I decide to go into. But it is definitely being the youngest one on city council in the largest city in Delaware, and as well as being, the youngest African American female in the state as well, puts a different expectation, as well as, well, we may not have to respect her as much because she's still young, she's still learning, right? What I will say is that the space and opportunity that I will say our council president gave to me of being capable of running and chairing the community development and urban planning for the city of Wilmington is a huge task and a huge responsibility, especially because there are so many things that are happening in the city of Wilmington around that area. I mean, of community development, urban planning, land use, and housing, and jobs, and just beautifying the communities, and all. There's so many things that are underlying in that committee just alone by itself. And being the youngest and being able to take that on, I think people didn't probably realize that I had so much skill and the differences of opinions that I may bring just to make sure that there is a different voice at the table of reasoning. And as far as what I've seen from working in the community for so long, it's a difference than how they look at it compared to how elected officials look at communities, and trying to bring in a fuse the two. Because I think a lot of times we lose what that looks like once we start moving in different positions, even in the business too. You start to lose touch with your population you're trying to serve once you get to a certain level, right? Depending on, like, if you're a very hands-on CEO or your deputy or things of that sort, then you're a little more in touch. But it's hard once you get to a certain place and be able to do that. So I think being a millennial on city council, and I will say our chief of staff did recognize that it is very important to have a millennial at the table. So I was super excited because you don't hear that too often. But it tells me that people are really starting to understand and not just stereotype what millennials are.
Right.
And I think there's so many different millennials that are in powerful positions across the state of Delaware for the first time. And I think now we're being respected because I think there's different levels. So it's getting to the table, it's being respected at the table, being able to have your voice heard, and actually for them to validate you and take your advice at the table. So it's like 4 levels that you pretty much have to go through. And that's what I had to go through with city council, as well as, just in the state in general, and being in spaces where routinely we don't get the opportunity to be. But I have been able to bridge relationships and bring in different connections, connect the dots for other people who ultimately wouldn't have relationships with each other. And I take pride in that because I think the most part we haven't done that work previously. And I'm so excited about what the future looks like across the state of Delaware, as well as regional. And I think, bringing in new perspectives and fresh ideas gives you those pathways to do that so that you can bring in more into your city, right? So that we're functioning in a certain way, but also still being respected. But it is at times hard to sometimes feel like you're the lone voice and you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out how these people going to take this if I say it like this, or
especially because you're younger and you've been in the community. And I mean, I can touch on that about her having her own business as well. So we're going to talk about how she was able to connect I'm so used to calling it RDI, but it's RD Innovative Planning. I'm used to the acronyms, but her own business and how it just easily merged right into, being a city councilwoman at large. So we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to ask a couple more questions with Rysheema Dixon. I don't know if to call Professor Rysheema Dixon. She's all the above, right? So, but we'll be right back. Hello, and you are listening to Purpose PR Agency Radio with Portia Hargrove PR. Tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m., and we are here to make sure that you are connected to the right person, giving you the right information for the right jewels for your life, your business, and where you are going in the next step of your journey. We're here today with Rysheema Dixon, and if you're just tuning in, we're talking to her about her multi-talented schedule of being a journalist. I'm saying journalist because she is part journalist. Writes, well, what did you do? Write 1 or 2 times for Delaware Black or so? An article? Yeah, she said yes. She does so many things. My brain goes all over the place. But she is a professor, a city councilwoman at large. She has her own business and entrepreneur, as well as, am I missing anything? No one wants to talk about her being a basketball player, but that's one little thing I just slid in there really quick.
I hear it.
So can you tell everyone, because you transitioned from RDI into City Councilwoman at large, can you tell people who are entrepreneurs, just give them a little bit of advice on how to make a good transition into, making going past their 5-year mark? What are some bit of advice that you can give them?
So I will definitely say the major piece of advice is to trust yourself. And trust yourself enough to know when to take your idea and take it to the next level and when to decide to let it go like a balloon and let it float away. And that ideas are not always going to pan out the way that you want them to. But there are opportunities where that one idea that you may thought was, that might have been stupid. No, that's not going to work. Most of the time, those are the ideas that a lot of times that work. Those are the ones that we may discount or think that it's not a good idea. But sometimes just talking to somebody else and allowing them to, just talk about what it means to you and the reasons why you do it. And I think being passionate about what you do, if you are your own cheerleader and you can cheer on your own self as far as what you do and how you do it, you will be the best salesperson for your opportunity or for your business or what you're doing. And no one else can take that away from you. If you cannot sell your own business, that means you shouldn't be in business.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're a coach for RDI. For people who don't know what RD Innovative Planning is, she can briefly touch on that, but she also gives people strategies and information as a professor at University of Delaware as well on how to get these things started. So just give those people who are listening and they were like, well, what else? What does RD Innovative Planning do, and what is your business about, and how did you correlate the two between the community and being a councilwoman at large? Like, give that information to them.
Yep. So I originally started RD Innovative Planning back in September 15, 2011, and it was after I finished 2 years on AmeriCorps through Public Allies. Shout out to Public Allies. What I always say is, once you serve as a public ally for life, you are public allies for life, and you are of the service for life. Which means that the business that I did relied on heavily of what I did as a public ally. And that was my first time really working in communities and being able to get entrenched in what was happening in Wilmington. And from there said, I love it. And I wouldn't see myself doing anything else. And created this business called RD Innovative Planning, which was primarily focused on helping nonprofits, for-profits, and entrepreneurs with doing community outreach, project management for something that's happening in the community, as well as event planning and helping with put on festivals or different events within communities, and then ultimately just helping them advocate for on behalf of their populations that they're trying to serve. And then traditionally, I have been working with people who are in the healthcare services industry, who are in nutrition, education, and youth development, and have been doing it now. I can gratefully say that I'll be going into year 7 in September, which is like a huge thing. Because initially last year, I literally went through all my savings. So it was one contract that I got that like spurred everything and back into cycle. And people laugh all the time, but they were, I said my first contract to get me back on track was AARP. And I said, and they were like, "Ain't you too young to be working at AARP?" I said, "No, see, they're becoming more intergenerational, and they're trying to spread their brand out differently than what they had previously, right?" And they had a relationship in a project with one of my dear friends, Trisha, who was doing work with me for over the years with Healthy Kids Delaware. So it was with the YMCA. So it was perfect. And it literally spooked me out because I literally got the contract September 15th, 2017.
Wow.
And I was like, this must be telling me something. I need to stay in this work and do this work. So meanwhile, I got turned down by 3 job opportunities, and I was like, you know what, guys, something ain't right. Because I know that I got skills to pay my bills, okay? So I need to figure out how this is going to work. But there was it kind of opened my eyes, and the responsibility to remind myself of what I said earlier is trust yourself. Trusting your abilities, trusting who you are and what you do, and your capabilities of doing that, and bring people along the way, right? And that's what's carried me. And also I teach my students at the University of Delaware in our social entrepreneurship class is that, it is literally we go step by step kind of in the process of how you would start a business. A lot of my students have not tapped into social entrepreneurship. They don't even know what that is. But literally they got it by the time they finish the class. They put together beautiful many business plans, as well as pitch some really great ideas, which I really hope that they continue and do. And, that is what spurs the new generation of new ideas, new businesses, new innovation that our country and our cities need in order for, everyone to thrive in it. But small business is where it's at.
You see how energetic and snappy and passionate she is. I'm going to let you know she's also one of my clients, and when she was running for office, Rysheema has a plethora of information and knowledge, but when it came to like networking and socializing out in huge, events, if she didn't know, everyone knew her, but if she didn't know people that she needed to meet to go to the next level, then she would kind of like pause and fall back. So share with them how having a publicist was able to help you go to the next level and help sharpen your voice on the things that you're doing now.
So what was really helpful, and I would say during a campaign, for example, right? So I utilize your companion package, right? So what was really helpful for me was that it was somebody who is used to being behind the scenes, which is me, not used to being in the spotlight in the front in the limelight, don't really want to talk about myself, and don't really, and fear networking. I am really an introvert. So I tell people that all the time. Even though they're like, Rysheema, you sound so excited about life and all these things. I say yes, but I'm still an introvert internally. And having somebody like in your stature and your abilities of what you're able to do helps heighten what I do, right? So you were able to help me with networking. You helped me also with coming to events and attending events with me, taking photos, taking some videos for me for the campaign. She even helped me set up an event, even on the drop of the dime. I said, Portia, I need, we got to figure out. She's like, girl, we going to have a party regardless of you win or not. So we going to figure this out. So she helped set up the events. Girl, she even catered one of them to even help out. The first one we had, she even catered. So she even caters, y'all. She got some good food, too. You got to utilize them services when you got them. Then you were helping out with the news and the media outlets for me. So when something came out negative, y'all, Portia was on it. And she would help deviate or change the conversation and narrative in order to do that. As well as she helped out with my social media. So one, probably as a millennial, I should be great at social media and websites, and I'm not. So, and I don't pretend to be, and I don't want to be. So anybody else who wants to do that, I am all for it. So I definitely highly recommend for all my introverts out there in the world to definitely get a publicist. It is definitely will help you out a whole lot. Now people tell me they can't get me to shut up. So, and it's all because I got a publicist to help me out, y'all. So I think you should do it. Make sure you do it, and make sure you get that Purpose PR. Okay?
Well, I know you are short for time. We are looking at the clock as we speak, laughing, joking, and answering questions. She does have another event. This girl never, ever, ever sits down. She came from one meeting, one event, straight to me. But I do have one final question. Is there a song or a movie or a book that describes your life right now on this journey that you're on?
Ooh. So, I am a huge superhero fan. So, and I used to have this, this superhero woman, that was on my screensaver because I thought I could save the world and do all these great things.
I know
right?
who she is, yep.
And, one of the movies that stuck with me the most, and I feel like, because I'm not going to be cliche and say Black Panther right now because it's Wakanda forever. But I definitely would say Wonder Woman was definitely one of the movies that helps you kind of visualize yourself, even though she may not look exactly like how you look, but she exerted different powers and but also had her own personality and person she was outside of her role as being this kind of savior of the world, right? And that's kind of how I feel. It's like you're being put out, and I remember somebody telling me that in your eyes, I can see that you want to save the world, right? But what they said at the end of that was that, Jesus loved one person. And I said, you know what, you're right. Jesus did. So we're going to do what Jesus did. So, right?
I tell her, don't be baby Jesus.
Yes. It's so hard not to be baby Jesus. Look, last night on the phone, y'all, Portia was talking to me, and I'm busy writing the quotes down, like, you know what, this brokenness of the system that we got, it's this covering up all these other things from a long history. But, we realize that we want to save and we want to help. And I think those were the reason why those movies, Marvel movies, speak to me so much, is because you want to help so much.
Right.
And in my role that I do every day is pretty much helping somebody. But exerting my own power. Right. Right. And then amongst, it's not superpowers, but it's a power that I have that no one else has that I can exert and help with other people. So for me, those movies, those superhero movies have always stuck with me, especially like Batman, Black Panther, I'm telling you, as a kid, my mom would tell you, she said, can you stop watching them movies? And she was tired of watching them. So I said, but I love them, so I don't know what you want me to do.
Oh my goodness. Well, as always, we talk all day, every day. If we could, I love Rysheema Dixon. She's a beautiful spirit, and I appreciate you stopping by and giving us a great interview. If people are still would like to get in contact with you for RD Innovative Planning, or Rysheema Dixon as City Councilwoman, or Rysheema Dixon as Professor Rysheema Dixon, can you give them the site information and social media platforms where they can follow and reach you?
Yes, you can. I am on LinkedIn under Rysheema Dixon. I am on Instagram at Councilwoman Rysheema Dixon. I am on Twitter under Councilwoman Rysheema Dixon as well. And you can find my business on, I have a Facebook page for RD Innovative Planning. You can also find my council page on Facebook as well for Councilwoman at Large Rysheema Dixon. So any of those places you can find me. I'm pretty readily, easily. But if you want to book me, you go through Portia. So she has told me that from now on, so I'm not booking myself and overbooking, that I will make sure. So yeah, I'm readily available. People say I'm too available. That I, and Portia raised a hand. Yeah. But I just love being in the company of other people. So if you need help or anything in any capacity, please let me know. And better at that, let Portia know, and she'll let me know. And then we'll get back to you as far as how we can help you out. So, but thank you again, Portia, for having me on. It's a true pleasure. And thank you for being a genuine friend of mine for, over the last few years. And I wish you all the success in your podcast is going forward.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. And my final words are, remember, when you walk in the room and walk out of the room, what anyone whispers about you is your brand. Remember to tune in every Thursday at 7 o'clock to Purpose PR Agency Radio. This is Portia Hargrove PR. Stay blessed.
Things you